you know where it is? The box.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Thank goodness when you're running a little bit behind and you have an opportunity to open your eyes when you finally get kind of fixed up and ready, you just see a bunch of cute people in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that immediately gets you in a better mood and a better attitude. Because sometimes I feel like a victim of the world I see.
Yeah.
You ever feel like that sometimes? Look like it's always, no, except for her. That's the only person that doesn't feel like it. Just remember that denial is not a river in Egypt. All right? So I'm going to remind myself I'm not a victim. I'm going to remind myself I'm not a victim with my brother, John Christmas, and some of his wonderful music to allow us to get centered. And I'd like you to hear the lyrics, especially from this song that are based and inspired by A Course in Miracles to kind of bring us in. But first of all, and those of you online on Facebook Live, thank you for coming in. We got a lot of cool people checking us out on the line right now. So I feel like it's a blessing. I can feel the energy. It's good to see new friends, good to see old friends, good to see new people I haven't seen before, that we're here to learn how to forgive each other. And remember that's according to the Course in Miracles, when you're attracted to somebody, that's why you're attracted to them. It's another forgiveness lesson that's getting ready to happen. But it won't look like that at first. At first it look like, oh my God, we're meant for each other. We're so attracted. Yeah, y'all got some forgiveness to do. So you have just walked up on your perfect pattern. You know, that's all that's happened. Is, oh, this is a person that perfectly matches everything that I need to change, work on, and see differently in myself. And that's really what it is. As all relationships are an opportunity to heal our minds and correct our perception, and to recognize we're not a victim of the world that we see. So here we go. Remember now, I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim. Now listen very closely. I'm not a victim. Say what? Of the world I see. I'm not a victim. Yeah. Of the world I see. I'm not a victim. No. Of what? Of the world I see. That's good. Y'all into it. I'm not a victim of my mom. Not a victim of my fault. Not a victim of events or circumstance at all. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim what? Of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. What's happening now is what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim what happens. That's even the good stuff, you know. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Yes, that's so true. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. On Facebook Live, we got a lot of people that's coming online, that's joining us in here. Just remember that you need not believe the ideas. Some of the ideas will be hard to believe and quite startling. But if you use the ideas, you will recognize that the ideas are true if you use it. Now listen. I'm not a victim of the North. I'm not a victim of the South. Not a victim of anything. So what comes out my mouth, I'm not a victim. Yeah, of the world I see. Not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Yes. Help me out. I'm not a victim of the Say it out loud, y'all. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. You are powerful. You are unlimited. You are entitled to miracles. You are unlimited spirit, love, truth. You are part of a loving spirit that created you. We are one. We are one. We just begun. Cause what's happening now is the good stuff is what you've done to you. That's the truth. One more time. Let's say it. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Would you give it up to you? One more time. Woo! Woo! That's like taking a shower. Feels so good. We just took a shower together. That's what I'm telling you. Feels good. My word. I'm shocked. It's such a beautiful day. What y'all doing here? There must be some pressure on you all out there. Some people have had enough. They're like going, oh no, I don't care. I got to do something different. I'll tell you. I'm going to be talking about today, I'm going to do the Course in Miracles in plain language. And what that means is I'm going to take a lot of the religious terminology of the Course, use the definitions of those terms that the Course in Miracles uses in order to make it more conversational and easier to hear. And we started talking about how should you spend your day. It says, how should the teacher of God spend his day? It's on page 40 in the manual for teachers, those who have the books and are watching online. And so that's just another way of saying, if you're going to be a demonstrator of love, if you really want to be a demonstrator of truth, if you really want to be a demonstrator of peace, how do you spend your day? What do? How do you go about doing that? And instead of, having periods where you want to run somebody down, which is less in the spiritual perspective on life. I just thought I'd tell you that yes, if you want to test that person's ability to have another life, you just don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about last week on page 40 that if you're really an advanced demonstrator of truth, if you really are more advanced in your spiritual development, the first thing that you recognize is that there is no program for you. And why is that? Because you realize when you wake up truly, spiritually, that your lessons change every day, and you're sure that the lessons that you have to meet for your spiritual development don't change at random. And you also know that you can be content because you know that you're going to be told what your role should be because you're listening to the voice for God, the voice for truth. You learn how to listen to your own inner guidance. So a person that's in tune with their spiritual self is a person who knows that they're going to be told all that their role should be this day and every day. And the cool part is that they know that those who share this role with them is going to find them. So everybody you meet all day would be someone that you know have been sent to you to help you learn your lesson in love and them learn their lesson in love.
And it's also going to be a lesson you can learn right then. It won't be a lesson that you're going to learn over a long period of time. Whatever that lesson is, you'll be able to learn it right then. And there's nobody absent that you need. And it also says, no one sent with the learning goal not already set, one that can be learned this very day. So if you're an advanced teacher of God, of love, the Course in Miracles says the thing that you recognize is that nobody is absent that you need. So therefore, everyone in your life is someone that you absolutely need, and everybody that's not there that day, that's somebody you don't need that day. Okay, so it's no such thing as like I'm having a day and all I'm thinking about is the people that are not there that should be there in order for me to have a happy day. If you become more advanced in your spiritual development, you know that everyone that's in your day that day, those are the people that you really need to be in your life that day. So you're more conscious and present with the people that you're with, and you're not obsessing about your past or your future with somebody that's not there. Okay? Which would make sense if there was a loving conscious intelligence. It would make sense that that loving conscious intelligence wouldn't make your lesson depend on who's not there. What you think about that? That kind of makes sense. Okay, and then the part of you that wants to keep you miserable would always be obsessing about what? What's not there, who's not there, because the part of us that has begotten our wholeness and who we truly are as spiritual beings, that part of us is rooted in the idea of lack, which is the idea that there's always something missing, somebody missing. So when you're acting from a level of consciousness that's not really helpful, you're constantly saying, if this were different, I'd be happy. If they were different, I'd be happy. If this other circumstance changed, I'd be happy. You're always basing your happiness on what's not there, or the idea that someone else needs to change in order for you to be happy. That's the way you can pretty much guarantee misery. Right? If you make your happiness dependent on me changing my behavior, don't you see how you set yourself up? And when you listen to most people, that is exactly what they're doing. They're always telling you they wish their mate was different, their boss was different, their coworkers were different, where they lived were different, some circumstance were different. They're always basing their happiness on what's not happening, what's not available, and what's not present, and what needs to change. So they're using their mind to come up with ways that other people and other things need to change, and not using their mind based on the idea of what can I do to change. That's the average person. And you know, all you have to do, and relationships are especially true of that. I do a lot of relationship counseling, and that's what you basically hear people saying who are in conflict in a relationship. If you were different, I'd be happy. No, if you were different, I'd be happy. No, if you were different, I'd be happy. No, if you were different, I'd be happy. Right? If you would really be honest with yourself and forget about the form of what seems to be happening and deal with the content, it's always, if this were different, I'd be saved. If this were different, I'd be happy. So if I'm an advanced teacher of God, if I'm an advanced spiritual student, what I'm doing all day long is I'm keeping in constant contact with the answer, which is my spiritual guidance. And I know that my road is set, and I know that I'm going to see my path stretch out smoothly and certainly before me. So I'm not worried about anything that day, because I know I will be told what I need to know. I know the people that's in my life that day are the people I need to have in my life that day. And I'm keeping in constant contact with my answer, which is my guidance. And I know that God's will for me is perfect happiness according to the Course. So I also know how this story ends, which is me being happily ever after. And so what I'm doing is recognizing what it is that I went through to get there. Okay? So you can afford to be patient if you're certain of the outcome. If I'm certain you're going to be picking me up at 3 o'clock, I'm very patient up until 3 o'clock. Right? Right? And that's what we do. Oh, you're going to pick me up at 3. You just cool out. You read. You'll sit around. You just cool out because you're certain about the outcome. So if you're very impatient, it's because you're not certain of the outcome. So the outcome is, how can the infinite intelligence of the universe, how can the divine that created us, that's supposed to be infinitely aware and intelligent, how can it have a plan for your happiness that doesn't work? The only plan for your happiness that doesn't work is yours.
That's right.
So how can you discern your plan from God's plan? The one you say is not working is yours. But if I don't believe in a higher power, if I don't feel my connection to source, I don't have any choice but to try to make it up as I go along, try to control everybody around me, get them to act out the script I have assigned to them for what they were supposed to do to make my life work. And so I'm a very hard person to get along with. I'm not a lot of fun because I'm trying to manipulate and control everybody around them as if they were born just to act out my fantasies. And that's what I used to do. If I looked at somebody, it was how could they help me achieve my plan? That's really the truth.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time you talk to people and they want to have a relationship, then they very seldom say, I want to enter a relationship because I want to do this for a person, that for a person, be helpful for a person this way, give this. No, they always talk about what it is they hope the other person's going to do for them. Is that? I know it must be true because y'all so quiet. Yeah. Okay, now, your silence speaks volumes. Yeah, and that's okay. You're innocent. We were taught that way. You know, that's okay. You were taught that way. So it says in the next paragraph, and that's where we left off last time. It says in the next paragraph, but what about those who haven't reached this certainty? Okay, what about those who don't have that connection to source consciously? Well, the Course says they're not yet ready for such a lack of structuring on their part. Okay? So you're not ready to wing it by listening to Spirit. The Course in Miracles says, what must they do to learn to give the day to God? What must I do to learn to give the day to the divine? What must I do to learn to give the day to my spiritual self? The Course in Miracles says there are some general rules which do apply, and each one must apply those rules or use them as best they can in their own way. So I'm going to give you the rules. You use it as best you can, but you notice it says as best you can in your own way. Use the rules as best you can in your own way. The Course in Miracles says each one of us have an individual curriculum. There's a curriculum for your awakening and your joy that's especially custom tailored to you. Got that? And the guy that just sung the music got out of just sitting right in there. No pressure. John Christmas. It's good to see you, brother. I love you, man. I'll tell you. Yeah, there's a lot of women can tell you that too. I made you cry. I'm pretty good at making people cry. Okay. And so, okay, thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Isn't that something? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Hear everybody here. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I know how you feel. Hey, brother. I love you.
I love him too.
We all love him. They don't even know you. They love you. Yeah. Yeah. So the Course of Miracles. By the way, John is going to be speaking next Sunday morning at 11 o'clock here, and also, are you going to be singing?
Yes.
Yeah. So be singing.
Happy to sing for your class. Ooh.
Good. Okay. Then 1 o'clock you're going to do a live thing here. Okay. That'll be perfect. That'll be perfect. Okay, I'll be sure to charge for that class. Oh, no, it'll be free. It's like it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing. This is perfect because there's an inner transformation that's going on within me that is beyond words. I heard that there would be a point. Like I've been doing the Course in Miracles now for 37 years. And no, I'm a slow learner. My family always said, "You still studying that book?" Yeah. I'm still reading it. I'm going to get past the introduction. I am. I'm just trying to make sure I get this, you know. Yeah. What you talking about? But for me, it's like breathing. It's like I can't live off the breath I took 2 days ago. And the truth has to be like breathing in your life. It can't be something that you use like a pill, like you have a headache and then you take a pill until the headache's gone and then you don't take any more pills. If you approach the truth and your enlightenment in that way, you won't experience it at the level you want to experience it every day. It's rare that I don't spend at least 2 hours in meditation and study every single day. You know, because I've seen the benefits. Miracles beyond anything that I could tell you or put into words have happened, even down to life and death things. That I've seen stuff that I never thought I would ever see happen in ways I never imagined them happening since I been studying the Course in Miracles. That's why I committed myself to being a voice for it. I was wondering what it was I was supposed to do I had done music and theater and corporate stuff and all kinds of things. It was great, but when I was introduced to this book, it was like this voice said, oh, that's why I'm here. That's what I'm on the planet to do, you know. And you can tell when you're fulfilling your function, because the promise is if you're fulfilling your function, your life will do what? The road before you will stretch surely and smoothly before you. And that's so simple. What an easy way to tell whether or not you're on the right track, right? But because it's so simple, most people avoid it because they're busy trying to act out their plan. See, and their plan isn't working, so they try to make it seem like it's complicated. No, you're just not listening. You haven't learned how to remove the blocks to listening to your own inner guidance. And so it says, if you haven't reached this certainty and you're not ready for such lack of structure on your own part, what must you do to give your day to God? He said, well, there are some general rules which do apply, although everybody's got to use them as best they can in their own way. First of all, routines is such a dangerous. What? Why are routines dangerous? Because they become gods in their own right. More people, you can get more caught up in your routine than even why you set the routine up, right? And then the Course says, and so that threatens the very goals that the routine was set up for. It's almost like if you're in a routine of coming to this class, but you don't do anything that the Course in Miracles tells you. Well, you're into your routine, but it really is not helping the goal that you established the routine for. Broadly speaking, then, it can be said that, I love this, the Course has such a great sense of humor. Broadly speaking, then, it can be said that it is well to start the day right. Okay, that's a simple instruction. Start the day right, okay? And so that does what? Well, if you start the day right, it saves time. So why do I want to start the day right, correctly? Because it will save me time. So how much time should you spend trying to start the day correctly? Well, that depends on you. How much time you should spend to start your day in the right frame of mind, in the right level of consciousness, that depends on you. How much time should you spend? Well, it says that must depend on you, the teacher of truth. But you cannot claim that you are a teacher of God. You cannot claim that you're a demonstrator of truth until you've gone through the workbook if you say you're a Course in Miracles student. The Course in Miracles consists of 3 books in one. The text, which is the whole theoretical framework and the thought system. The workbook, which is what makes it real because it gives you one lesson every day for 365 days that you should apply, which I find in my experience of working with literally thousands of people, is that the workbook is what, in most cases, the person isn't doing. They will read the text and then still try to figure out how to apply it, but not actually do the workbook, which would give you very specific things to tell yourself in every situation that comes up. What's the purpose of doing the workbook? It's to ultimately remove the blocks to your awareness of God and the truth. It's also a symbolic gesture. It's like, how serious am I about something if I'm not willing to do what it takes to accomplish it? So how can I honestly say I'm about waking up and being more loving and being more spiritual, but everything I read and study that tells me things I should do, I don't do any of them? Well, that would seem to indicate that you're not really that serious about what you're saying. And the reason why you don't want to wing it on your own is because you're miserable because you've been doing that.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people will come to a class and they're still trying to figure out how they can do it on their own. But that's why they came to the class, so that's why they're going through the issue. It's because they've been trying to do it on their own all the time. So sometimes people think growing spiritually means give me more information for me to handle things better by myself. So when you say something like, get in touch with the divine self, get in touch with the greater self, get in touch with God, allow yourself to be guided, allow yourself to be taught. You did not create yourself. Just because you got a frightening perception of God as a child, don't throw out God because of the way you learned about God. Don't, like my mother used to say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And just because we all, maybe some of us are recovering Baptists, Catholics, and other things, that, you just throw away the whole idea of a higher power. And that's a big mistake because you didn't create yourself. You did not create yourself. What you created or made is the image of yourself that you have. Now that's your creation. When you give me your opinion about you, when you describe yourself to me, that's what you've made up. It is your self-image, your self-concept. That's who you are making up. And the reason why the Course says we should know that it's not really us is because we don't feel complete and total peace and understanding. Again, a simple way to tell. How can I tell that the image I have of myself corresponds with the truth? How much fear do you have? How much worry do you have? How much guilt do you still have? How much anger do you have? How much are you still seeing yourself as a victim of the world you see? That self-image is not you. You are not who you think you are. You can't make yourself up as you go along. Even though the world teaches you that that's what you do. You came here without the self, and you make up one as you go along. And when you get to the point you can make up a self that corresponds with the other insane ideas that everybody else has, now you're a member of society and you're cool. Okay, so when you can make up all the erroneous ideas, and the most erroneous idea of all is that you are guilty, that you're sinful, that you're separate, and that you're just this mortal being that's born, has a certain number of years, and then you're out of here. And that's it. That's a lie. You know it's a lie because there's nothing truly comfortable and comforting about that idea. Just think about it. There's nothing truly comforting about that idea. So the truth is simple, but because it's simple, it's very difficult for people who have very complicated perspectives on life to hear it or to do it. That's why it sounds challenging. Okay, how can I tell if something's right for me? How do I feel? That's too simple. You know, oh, the way that I feel is coming from my interpretation of things, not what somebody else is doing to me. That's too simple. Because I'm the one that's determining how I feel, if I'm the one that's describing what's going on to me. Do you see what I mean? So you're listening to me right now, you're interpreting what I'm saying, and then you're all reacting to your own individual perceptions. And if I talk to everybody in this room, there would be many different perspectives of what I've said and how you feel about me. Now, I know that unless you see me as sweet, juicy, handsome, beautiful, and kind, you have a misperception. So I don't have to get lost off in your misperceptions of who you think I am, because I have a good sense of who I am. You see what I mean? So if you don't know who you are, then how can you evaluate whether or not somebody's telling you the truth? If you don't think you're any good and I tell you you're no good, then you'll go, my feelings are hurt. Yeah, because you bought it.
Yeah.
If you didn't believe, would you spend 2 seconds arguing with me if I told you I thought you were a horse?
We going for a ride?
You know, maybe a jackass, but not a horse. Okay? No, because you know that it has nothing to do with what you really are. So when you know how loving you are, when you know how powerful you are, you're not caught up in anybody else's opinion of you. You only get caught up in it when you have doubts. That's why you can hurt my feelings. When I'm agreeing with you, when I think it's a possibility that something you just said was true. Other than that, I would just look at you with odd curiosity. Right? So then, of course, the miracle says, but what I found, though, in years of learning how to take responsibility for myself, is that people who would be a real challenge and who would not be comfortable to be around and wouldn't be loving to be around, they leave you. And they think it hurts you. You know, you're a pain in the butt, you're attacking me all the time, you don't see me correctly, you're trying to change me and you leave and I'm supposed to feel bad. Not when I wake up. Now, when I wasn't awake, then yes, I did feel real bad about it, and I'd be trying to get them to change their mind about me because I believed that my value was validated by them. So therefore, that's why sometimes even when you have people in your life that are loving you, you still want the person that rejected you to accept you. That's right. And you could be surrounded by people who now accept you, but you still need that person to say you're okay. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So when most people form, according to the Course, when most people form special relationships after they've had a special relationship end, they form the next relationship to restore their wounded self-esteem. Yeah. In other words, I feel bad about what happened is making me doubt myself. I need this new relationship to make up for that. So you're supposed to not do any of the things that the other person did that I was with. So I'm watching you in terms of, are you doing to me what they're doing? Yeah. You know, so if I see them do a text message, then I'm trying to see what's going on, right? Because that in the last relationship, you know, that was the thing that they did when they were into someone else beside me. So I'm judging the person I'm with now by the person who I was with before, forgetting that that's not the person that I'm with now, which means I'm not giving them an opportunity to show me their true self, because I'm too busy dealing with them in terms of the person I was with before. So I'm not really in a relationship with the person that I'm with. I'm in a relationship with the person that's not there. Because I'm dealing with them constantly in terms of with the person that's not there. So in any relationship I'm in, I have to remind myself all the time, this is not the other person. This is not, I know they're saying the same thing the other person said, but this is not that other person. That's a literal truth. They aren't that other person. But if you keep looking for them to be like that, they're going to end up seeing them like they are like the other person, because you've edited out everything else except that. And then you become cranky, you're not fun to be with, you're judging, you're fearful, and of course they're going to turn like the other person, the person that wants to get away from you. Yeah, because the person that loves themselves just won't put up with that stuff. The person who really loves themselves, they will infuriate a control freak. Because they will simply not allow themselves to be controlled by you. They know they have a right to express themselves in the way that fulfills their heart. So you're going to call them selfish because they're not sacrificing for you. Right? Right. Yeah, I know. Doesn't that feel good? I love to talk dirty. Yeah. All right. So it says, okay, so he says, it's always possible to begin again should the day begin with error, and there's an obvious advantage in terms of saving time. Any questions or comments about anything I've covered so far, or that was in that paragraph to help clarify any of it?
Kim, this is beautiful from Kim. Kim says, I read the course, I do the lessons, I read the text, I listen to your classes sometimes all day long, Earl. I let your taped lessons also help me to fall off to sleep many nights. You put her to sleep, is what she said.
Like people in class sometimes.
Yeah, man. She said, I can't get enough. My alarm goes off each morning, and today it went off as usual. And I sprung up in my bed singing these words, the melody of I am, that I am, that I am, that I am, that I am, etc. So I said to myself, Kim, I didn't know that was the words to that song. So she's expressing how just being here has enlivened her.
Thank you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's what I'm here for. That's my function. Once you realize that your happiness will never come from anything outside of yourself, the first thing that happens is you don't know what you're going to do. Yeah. Because you realize how much of everything that you've done and all your goals have to do with the thing you're shooting for that you think is going to make you happy. That's right. That's what's been motivating you. Then you realize that everything is neutral. It's neither bad nor good, and that the way you feel about things is going to determine your experience of that. Then all of a sudden, your focus turns more inward. It's like, how can I get rid of the blocks that keep me from knowing that the happiness that I'm looking for is really being self-generated through me, and then I can take that joy and happiness that I am into any physical situation and experience happiness. That's different. Yeah. From me thinking you're going to make me happy is different from me being happy with you. Yeah. Because I'm happy, because I'm joyful. And so once that happens, then you start focusing your attention more on things you can have right now. Because again, you realize you projected your happiness far into the future. And you told yourself you can only be happy after you get this or that done, or you've accomplished this or that. And what the Course in Miracles says, which I think is awesome, is it says, when you focus on happiness in the future, that's just you still want to punish yourself for a while longer, which would be that intervening period before you say you can have that happiness. Well, if I said I can't be happy for 6 months after I get through taking this special training, then that's me saying from this day until 6 months from now, I can't be happy. Because you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So really, when you do that, that's you keeping yourself unhappy for 6 months because some part of you thinks you need to suffer because of what you did on prom night. Oh, some other thing you think you've done. You follow what I'm saying? So true happiness is never something that's in the future. So so when you really hear that, then again you go, well, what is it that I should be doing? You do what inspires you and what moves you. You start following the path with heart. You know, since it doesn't really matter anyway, then the only thing that really matters is what can I get my heart into? You know, what moves me? And if I don't know what that is, then I know what my spiritual work is. is to remove every block that keeps me from knowing what that is. And you know what it is. You just probably can't figure out how you think you make money doing it. That's all it is. You know, if you know you have you're attracted to art, but you'll say an artist doesn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you don't go for it. Mm-hmm. So it's not really that you don't know what moves you. It's your ego, your fear, your lack mind can't figure out how it's going to be taken care of doing it. Mm-hmm. And so you go do the thing that you think is going to give you security, even though you feel miserable, which still is a blessing because you're going to learn some good lessons out of it. But what makes you be able to handle jobs and situations that are not your optimum situation is to have a goal that you are working on while you're doing that, and then seeing that as being something that's providing some form of structure and security, even if it's financial, while you're moving towards your job. Before I did the Course in Miracles full time, I did whatever was necessary to keep my fear down. What fear? The fear of paying my bills. Because that is the fear that most people use to keep them blocked from being their true creative self. So what should you do if you really want to accomplish something? Whatever it takes. And since you're clear that it's in line with your function, what you'll find is the spirit of the universe will even make something about that easier than you could have made it on your own. Still, you know what I'm saying? Even though it seems like, oh, this is not the situation I want to be in. If your long-term goal is to be a demonstrator of truth, to be a light of the world, to represent another way of thinking on this planet, which is needed right now more than ever, I assure you, you will be provided for. And not only that, it won't be just enough. You will be provided for more than enough. That's the truth. The universe is on your side. Spirit is on your side. I love the way I ask for questions and comments, and then I'm the one that does it. That was a great discussion. We'll move on to the next paragraph. Chris.
Surprise. So you were talking about doing stuff that you're passionate about, and you were talking about doing stuff that you're passionate about, and doing stuff that your heart is into. I have a problem with doing adult stuff like paying bills, stuff like that. That just is I'm not passionate about it. And so then what happens is I end up forgetting about certain bills, and then I get calls and they're like, well, you got to pay bills. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, what do I do with like doing like the adult stuff?
Well, it's really a matter. It's really a matter of how much peace you want. That's really what it is. If you really and truly wanted peace, you would do what was necessary to pay your bills. Not being able to pay your bill or not taking care of those things is a form of self-punishment. Because you feel conflict and you feel upset around it. So it's really about, does Chris think he deserved to have peace and harmony and joy in his life? And once you decided to truly be happy and to have the kind of experience that you really desire, as far as love and peace, then you'll find that all that kind of stuff becomes easier because nothing becomes more important than your peace. Does that give me less peace? Well, my peace is the most important thing to me. My peace comes before any relationship, anything on the outer. Your idol is anything you put before your peace. Your idol is anything or anybody you put before your peace. Because it's only through peace that you can hear the voice of God guiding you. And so once you live by guidance, which is the easiest way to live, you would never go back to trying to figure everything out and trying to be ingenious and come up with your own, because that's the slowest way. So your desire to keep a smooth, harmonious life would be enough motivation for you not to want to have anything interfere with your peace. So it's not how do I go about paying my bills. It's more about how do I go about letting go of any self-hatred, not loving myself and not appreciating myself would make me want to put myself in a situation that's going on. Okay?
Awesome.
All right? All right. And then I'm here at the Course of each other's Savior, so I'm here to remind you that you do deserve to have a peaceful, loving, fulfilling, harmonious life. That's my role. So that you'll believe it, and the more you believe it, the more you'll achieve it. That's why if you're going to get a relationship with somebody, you're going to be listening to them more than anybody. So make sure they're telling you stuff that inspires you and moves you and allow you to love yourself more. But most people get an external manifestation of their own insane roommate in their mind.
Right.
So I put myself down in my mind, I judge myself in my mind, I criticize myself in my mind, so I get a mate that does that externally. So they're telling me externally what I'm telling myself internally. And then you ask yourself, well, why do I stay in a relationship like that? Because you believed it. That's why. If you didn't believe it, you wouldn't stay in it. That's why some people you say, I just can't get rid of them. You don't want to. You know, because they're mirroring back to you your subconscious beliefs about yourself. That's the truth. They're there because you're attached to them, and you're attached to them because they are validating some part of you that you need to let go of. And that's why they're such a blessing, because you probably fool yourself otherwise and pretend they're not there. That's one of the challenges of living alone. You have so much peace.
That's right.
Okay. Think about it. Because you do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it. There's nobody to get upset with you about what you eat, what you watch TV, what you do, how you come, how you go. It's peaceful. It's peaceful, especially if you are pretty comfortable with yourself. And you don't feel like you have to have somebody with you every single second, right? So therefore, there's such peace in that experience that when you're ready to find out how much you've really grown, then you form a relationship. Because that person is going to trigger everything in you that you have not really handled yet. So you get a chance to see how much of that peace that you had was really coming from self-realization and awakening, and how much it was coming from them not having anybody to push your buttons. Right? So if I choose to get in an intimate relationship, I don't enter it because I think I need one. I enter it as a lesson and an experiment in love and seeing where I am and how I can grow and how they can grow. Because if you don't get that established in the very beginning in the relationship, you will not survive anything that comes up between you. Because you'll be under the illusion that being in a relationship means you never get upset with each other about anything. So therefore, when something comes up in a session, you get disillusioned. Rather than realizing, if you're a mature spiritual being, that they are giving you an opportunity to heal some things within yourself that needs to be released. And if both of you know that, you help each other with that, and you do it in a compassionate way. And the relationship becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And it turns you on more and more and more. There's no such thing as the honeymoon period at that point, that everything just fizzles out, because you're constantly becoming new to each other. And you're discovering new things about each other, and you're exciting each other. You only get bored when you use the person up.
Oh.
That's why you say you're bored with the person. There's nothing else you can get out of them. It's like something, it's like a rag you wrung out. There's nothing left. So you're ready to move on and steal from somebody else. So I have a whole line of Valentine's Day cards. I'm working on it even as we speak. Valentine's Day card. Run! You let your hand up, brother.
Me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, being a person who does live alone, I find one of the problems is that, yeah, I can be peaceful with whatever I want, but my ego mind can also run me through, hell.
Well, that's another reason why you want a relationship, because then you get a chance to blame somebody else for that.
That's why I don't want to really. That's why I live alone, because I don't want to do that to anybody. I've done it to a wrecking ball in too many lives.
Well, now you're taking the conscious approach.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, but that's not the average person. The average person doesn't, the last thing they want to hear is their own thoughts. That's why they stay so busy with non-essentials. That's why they have to schedule a bathroom break 3 weeks in advance, because they're so busy. Y'all know what I'm talking about, those friends we have that you can't see them unless y'all schedule it out about 3 weeks. Right, but they say, but I noticed they never have that problem with their special relationship partner. Have you ever noticed that? That special relationship partner never has to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
That's right.
The special relationship partner could say, I want to see you tomorrow evening, and they will.
Yeah.
So that just shows you how special you are.
Thank
Your specialness is the gauge of how soon I want to see you. See, it's too easy to tell. See, that's too easy. Oh, you put me a month away. That's okay, but I'm not that special either, though. Because you be trying to see me sooner than that, if any way possible. And that's all. I don't mean that I'm okay if people want to schedule me out a month. I don't have a problem with that, because it's not like for a month I'm not going to be having a good time.
Right.
See, if you're happy and your life is fulfilling, again, you're very patient. You know, it's like if somebody's mad at me or they got a grievance with me, or I got a grievance with them, and there's a misperception, then I'm going to still have a good time while we're working through that. Then I can be patient about however long it takes for the healing to happen. And I'm totally willing to pick up right where we left off as if nothing ever happened, because nothing did. But if I'm miserable, then I'm missing them every second that we are not in communication. But if I'm not miserable, then they can take as much time as they want. So sometimes when you're not letting yourself have relationships because of something that happened to you with somebody else, and you haven't forgiven them, and you're thinking about them and how they mistreated you, so you're not going to ever have a relationship with anybody else. And like I said in many classes, they could be on the beach in Hawaii parting their butt off. They are not feeling your feelings. So you're not punishing anybody. You know, or they break up with you and you break up with them and you never hear from them again. They felt happier without you. I wish I could make it deeper than that. Because you know from your own experience, if you do that and you don't meet somebody better, you're more prone to go back to the old one and try to make it work one more time. You know that's the truth. Why? Because you didn't find anything more pleasing. Had you met somebody more pleasing, you would not be pining away for them. So what you want to do optimally is to get to the point you're whole and complete, okay with you, all right with you, so that relationships become an option. And not in any way your happiness is dependent on it. Then you can be more discerning. Then you can be more discriminating. I know what I'm looking for in friendships and in intimate relationships. And since I know what I want, I can evaluate the situation more clearly and easily. If I know I want to come to you in the temple to speak to you, and then someone says, let's take a trip to Pueblo because it's really great, then I go, no. Why? Because my purpose is to come to the church and teach. If I don't, a real relationship. So if I don't have a purpose, I could be steered off. Okay, yeah, let's go. Right. And then let's do this. Okay, I don't know what, let's do that. So the more you have a purpose and a goal, the easier it is for you to correctly evaluate what moves to make. So you need a purpose. Yeah. So if my purpose is peace and my purpose is happiness, and all we're doing is arguing and not willing to go past that, this is not real. That's what you call, what's real is what helps you meet your goal. What's unreal is what doesn't help you meet your goal. That's how you can tell the difference between what's real and unreal in relationships. If my goal for being here with you is to demonstrate love to you and to have peace with you and gratitude for you, then if I have anything come up in my mind that tells me to attack you, then I know that's wrong. That's not true. That's not, because my goal isn't to be someone that's harmful to you. But if you're not clear about your goal, then you would be suspicious of me, first of all, and you would be wondering what is the game I'm trying to run down on you right now, and you'd be full of suspicion, and you probably would never come back. But would that be my loss? No. That's why I stand up here and the door's over there. It's not, because that way if a person needs to leave, they can do it quickly and easily. And those who appreciate me and those who see value in me, they would stay. So what would you end up with over a period of time? You end up over a period of time surrounded by people that are loving and supportive, that you can be yourself with, that love you the way you are. That's what I love about being on the internet. It's because nobody's going to watch me on the internet who's not resonating to me. No more than you would come to this class if you weren't. But it's even more so on the internet. I'm noticing doing live classes and stuff. Yeah, people don't like it. Click. So you end up with the people who really, and what's cool about it, they like you the way you are. Yeah. They're not the ones that saying, if you were different, Earl, then I would be more into you as a teacher. When people come to me with the things that they think I need to do in order to please them, then I know, first of all, that they're not very conscious. Because no conscious being is going to ask you to do something other than what you feel inspired to do. They think that, again, everybody else needs to change in order for me to be happy. And I'm letting go of that. You don't have to change in order for me to be happy, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to have what I want.
Yeah.
See, that's another reason why people can't do it, because they think, well, if I don't try to bend somebody to my will, I'll never have what I want. No, the universe knows exactly who's perfect for you, who would need you just the way you are, and the way you are is what brings about the greatest amount of spiritual growth for them, as well as you.
Absolutely.
So they would be glad for you to express yourself as you truly are. And so, but if I'm trying to do it by myself, then it seems hard. Because now I think I got to make myself look a certain way, be a certain way. Maybe I even show, go to Match.com and put a picture of me that's 20 years ago. Which seems crazy because they're going to see that I look better. I was just friend last night. They said you look the same as you did 20 years ago. I said, oh, I look like I was 66 20 years ago. Birthday coming up in December. I look at the numbers and go, oh my God. Do I look like in 3 years I'll be 70?
No.
Do I act like it?
No.
Maybe that's why I don't look like it.
That's right.
Maybe it's because I'm trying to forgive more. Maybe it's because I'm trying to be more loving. Maybe it's because I'm practicing the truth. And don't believe anything that anybody says that because of your age you can't attract people of all ages. That's not true either. It's not true. None of the lies that the world tells you about anything is the truth. That's the quick way to just go past it. What does the world believe? Okay, the truth is the opposite, and you'll be right every time. That's the truth. Don't buy into the lies. And there are gifts that come with every age. Every age. What I've noticed is that the things I used to have so hard to work physically to create, they seem to be created and drawn to me just through the way that I think and the way that I feel. It's almost like life compensates for you probably not being able to do all the physical things that you could do 30 years ago, by you being able to do all those things through your spirit and your consciousness and your heart. So which is interesting. The universe is on your side. It's on my side. And I'm not my body anyway. So who I really am doesn't feel any different than the person I was when I was 10 years old. The only thing that's different is I have more life experience. But that same essential Earl is the exact same one who used to run around the yard playing. You know what I'm talking about. My grandmother lived to be 105. And her parents were slaves. And one of the things that she told me was that it was weird. It was like, she said it was like watching her body change around her. It's like there was her and then there was her body. And that's exactly the way I feel. It's like there's, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. There's like you, and then there's your body, and then you get to the point that you realize that if you make being loved dependent on how your body looks, then you're setting yourself up after a certain age. You really are. So I'm much more into people that love spiritual beauty now. People who like those inner-qualities. That's what I'm looking out for. I'm telling you. Because if someone loves you, don't ever forget this. If someone loves you, if they really love you, you look beautiful, no matter what you physically look like. And you know that's true because you've had that experience where someone looked beautiful to you until you fell out with them. And then you go, oh, I don't even see what it was outside. Like, what happened? Well, you're not looking at them through the eyes of love now. And when you were looking at them through the eyes of love, they look beautiful. That's why you can see couples walking down the street that are 80-something years old holding hands. And you can feel, because that woman is just as beautiful to that man as she was when she was 20 years old, if that's when they met. And vice versa. That's who you want. You want someone who has vision, who can truly see you, and truly see who you really are.
That's right.
That's exactly the truth. So could you acknowledge yourself for hearing this much of me today, Holy Spirit? I'm going to do a quick little recap of what we said, and we're going to do the financial expression of appreciation right now. Thank you for sharing with me. I'm a full-time teacher, and thank you for supporting my teaching ministry and Unity Temple. You all are blessings. Spirit takes care of us through each other. And those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, just go to earlpurdy.com and do that. I thank you very much, and thank you, God. I'm sustained by the love of God, and I thank you for being willing to be a channel for giving to yourself. You know. Also, I'm available for one-on-one personal sessions that are called Clarity Sessions, where I take all the principles of the Course in Miracles and all the experience of working with hundreds of people over several years, and also my knowledge of astrology and numerology, which is another way that information can come to us from Spirit. The Course in Miracles, what I love about the Course in Miracles, it says, whatever you have made can be used to wake you up. So it doesn't matter what you're doing in the world or what your interests are. It can all be used to wake you up to the truth of who you really are. So don't judge another person's path and what they're doing. My being led to this and talking to you started with my interest in astrology. So you never know what's going to lead you to want to be more loving and want to be more awake. And what I found is that a person that is open to intuitive, what you call psychic or channeling or spiritual guidance, they save themselves a lot of time. It's just as important to be in your reasoning, logical mind, but your intuitive self is every bit as important. And in the West, we are taught not to value that part of ourselves and to see anybody that does anything that's about any kind of psychic or intuitive awareness as somehow or another strange or weird. The weirder I get, the better my life gets. Okay, I kind of get scared when the world agrees with me too much. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden, when everybody in the world is saying I'm okay, then I say, okay, I need to check myself now because I've lost sight. That's why I never care about whether or not I have, millions of people that are watching what I'm doing. If God wills that, fine. But as far as me getting up, making that a goal, is not at all important to me. I don't know my own best interest. So for all I know, that could be the worst thing that ever happened to me. Plus, I love freedom. And I'm very unconventional in the way that I choose to live and the way I choose to express myself. And so true freedom sometimes is being completely unknown. I like flying under the radar. Because there's nobody, you can't oppose what's not, you don't even know it's there. So I'm freer because I'm not famous. And I've been very successful at that. I'm proud of myself. Don't say I can't achieve my goals. I did it. So go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it explains what I share and what I have to offer. Okay. So at the end, there's going to be a quick announcement also. So there's a key thought that we must take with ourselves if we want to really release the blocks. And the Course in Miracles says that one idea is your innocence. That one idea is your sinlessness. That people don't realize that if the innocent mind does not believe it deserves to suffer. Nothing upsets us more than thinking an innocent person got punished. So in our mind, there's a link between how innocent I think I am and how I think life should treat me. And if I feel totally innocent and guiltless and sinless, I expect life to be kind and loving to me. If I think I'm guilty, not enough, if I think I'm sinful, then that plugs into the part of us that's been taught we deserve to be punished. So guilt is your enemy. Thinking that you're guilty, then people say, well, if you don't have some kind of guilt, you'll be some kind of sociopath. And that's not true. What you want to say when you're being unloving or when you thought you've done something unloving, you want to say to yourself, that was a mistake. Not, I'm guilty. If you feel guilty, you're going to do it again. You know that, right? Think about the things you felt guilty about. You went right back and did it again and again and again and again. So we know feeling guilty is not a true deterrent. Right? But saying it's a mistake is totally unappealing to us. Why? Because most people would rather be right than happy. So if you say you made a mistake, your mind goes, I don't want to do that again because I want to be right. So your mind will start to move you in the direction of healing that thing. Attacking you is a mistake. being unkind to you is a mistake. Not seeing you as a part of me and loving you as a part of me is a mistake. But if I feel guilty about it, then I'm going to do it again because I'm attracted to the guilt. Because I think feeling guilty makes me a good person. Mm-hmm. And people who think they're really nice feel really guilty about everything. And then they wonder why they're a nice person and it looks like something is always going wrong for them. Mm-hmm. And they don't see the connection is that. Yeah, you're a nice person, but you think you're guilty. Mm-hmm. And so you say, universe, punish me. Mm-hmm. Punish me, punish me, punish me. And it does. Because that's what you're asking for. So seeing yourself as guilty is not the solution. Seeing yourself as innocent is the solution. But how do I do that? I have to get rid of the blocks to seeing that, right? Mm-hmm. That's where the curriculum of A Course in Miracles and any wisdom text, not just A Course in Miracles. I'm teaching A Course in Miracles because that's the way the truth came to me in a way that made me want to do it. And that's what I tell people. The truth comes in many forms. There's one truth, but it comes in many different forms. Your form is the one you will do. You will do it even if there's resistance. You will do it even if you don't like it. That's your path. And so if it's not the Course in Miracles, find out what it is. And if you're still jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing, you haven't found it yet. Because when you find it, you'll stop seeking. If I find my car keys, you won't find me looking for them an hour later. Right? I got them and they're in my pocket. So if you're still seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking, you haven't found your path yet. And that's okay. But those of you who have been motivated and you have found something that spiritually inspires you, stop looking and go about how can I apply the principles of this teaching in my life. And then give yourself at least 90 days. I know we live in a McDonald's generation, but there's not any Mac enlightenment. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to, I'm sorry, I wish I could tell you. I put it this way. It could happen faster for you, but that's a matter of motivation. Right? It can happen faster if I'm willing to trust more, if I'm willing to stop analyzing and start applying more, if I'm willing to surrender. You know, it's all about desire, intention, allowance, and surrender. Those are the 4 keys to the kingdom of happiness. I have to not judge my desires and not be afraid of desire. Then I have to have intent, and then I have to allow it, and then I have to surrender. That's how you manifest at a level of spirit. You know, and it's fun to be with other people who want to learn how to do that. You know, and like I said, you know, John's music that I played today, you can go to his website, johnchristmas.com.
Free
and
downloads.
Free downloads.
Whoa.
You know. I'm gonna do you our sentence. Would you do you our sentence with me?
Oh, sweet.
Come on up here.
Oh shit, do I remember? Yeah, okay.
All right. If we don't. And when y'all learn this, you'll say it too. This is John Christmas, everybody. Listen very closely to this.
You are sinless, you are sinless, you are a child of God. You are sinless, you are sinless, love you like you are. Your incomparability was your father's guarantee that you would forever be completely free. You are guiltless, you are guiltless, you are a child of God. You are guiltless, you are guiltless, love you as you are. Your incomparability was your father's guarantee that you would forever be completely free.
What?
But you keep on singing, don't you? Yeah, you keep on singing. You're so in love with your blues. Yeah, you keep on singing your blues. You're gonna stop singing.
When you gonna stop singing?
When you gonna stop singing?
When you gonna stop singing?
You're gonna learn
son, don't forget that you are innocent. Let those old blocks leave your mind. You are juicy and sweet. You are juicy and sweet. But you are so innocent and neat. You didn't create yourself. You have a loving self. You got to let your loving self shine through.
You are sinless. You are sinless. You are a child of God. Yeah, you are sinless. You are sinless. Love you like you are.
What you say, brother?
Your invulnerability.
Say what?
Was your father's guarantee that you would forever be completely free. But you keep on singing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you keep on singing. You're so addicted to singing your blues. It's time for us to quit singing.
Time for us to quit singing.
It's time for us to quit singing.
Time for us to quit singing.
It's time for us to learn we got nothing to lose. Woo!
You are entitled to miracles. You are entitled to miracles. You are sustained by the love of God. You are sustained by the love of God. You deserve to be paid for having fun. You deserve to be paid for having fun. You deserve to be paid for having fun. Woo! And be completely brave.
Keep on singing.
Say what?
Yeah, you keep on singing.
Say what?
When you gonna quit singing the blues?
When you gonna be? When you gonna quit singing the blues?
It's time for us to quit singing.
Time for me to quit singing.
It's time for us to quit singing the blues. It's time for us to learn we have nothing to lose.
Woo, woo, woo. As you go out into the lab, it's time for you to practice everything that you've heard today. If you don't know what to do, just say to Spirit, decide for me. Holy 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 Spirit. Let's give it to Brother John. Whoa. Let's give it to us. Woo. Thank you, those of you online. Hey, look, go to my website and sign up for the contact list, because I have some workshops that we online and in person that I'm working on. And so I'd like to see who want to go to the next level with me. So go to my website, sign up for the contact list, and I can let you know. So there's going to be a quick announcement from Sheila, the spiritual leader of this church. Let's give it to Sheila over here. I love you online.